Welcome, everybody. Welcome. I'm sorry. Let me turn down the music, Catherine. Let me turn this music down.
I have never heard that music before. That's quite interesting.
Yeah, you haven't heard that music before because right before we got on, I said, you know what? We need some theme music. And I went over to Google's AI Test Kitchen. It's something that you can do as well. You have to sign up for it and you have to wait about a week, maybe 2 weeks to get accepted. But I was playing around with a tool called Music LM. And basically, all you ask for it is a couple different genres mashed up together, and it creates for you a 20-second clip, which is great for intros and exits of podcasts and video casts just like this.
Wow. And essentially, it's creating it on the spot, right? So it's essentially an AI system that has taken all the data of all the music it has access to, and that's pretty
correct.
Cool.
Yeah, it's like a mosaic, right? It takes everything that's out there and creates something brand new to generate for you. And of course, if you loved everybody out there, if you loved that fantastic piece of art, you can use it because it's royalty free. It is copyright free because it is AI generated, which means nobody can copyright it and nobody owns it. So you can definitely take it and use it for your own podcast. But I don't know. I didn't quite like it. I think I'm going to play around with it a little bit more for next time.
Yeah, it wasn't my favorite, but that's okay. I mean, it was AI's first try for this particular show, so which I'm so excited about. Joe and I had talked about wanting to come together and talk about things that are really important in education and have a just informal show where people can ask questions and we can just chat about what we're seeing in the world of education.
Yeah, definitely in education. But right now, like the only thing you hear about is, I'm going to bring up our graphic again, is AI. And I thought a great title for, maybe the first few episodes is AI is in everything, everywhere, all at once. Doesn't it seem like that, Catherine, that as soon as this tool exploded on the scene at the end of November of 2022, that everybody was gravitating towards it. And now every single app, every single tool, every single company has AI in some way, shape, or form embedded into it. And we all know that when industry starts to adopt something new, then that's the way we kind of have to move towards our teaching, because what do we always say? We're not teaching the kids in our classrooms for the jobs that exist today, but for the skills and jobs that will exist tomorrow. And I truly believe that the skills of crafting AI, the skills for designing prompts are going to be needed going forward. And in fact, did you know right now, if you go look on some job boards, there's over 7,000 positions for a prompt engineer.
And they make good money.
The lowest end is 80,000, not too shabby. That's more than double what I got paid being a first year teacher.
That's entry level.
Entry level.
Pretty much. Because this is brand new tech.
Brand new.
Well,
and then high end 350,000.
Wow.
That's just shy of a journeyman football player. I think the lowest you can make in football is 500,000. Don't quote me on that. I'm not sure. Maybe we can check Chat GPT and ask him that question. And Scott, welcome, Scott. Scott is here right now. Scott is asking, do you remember the prompt for that groove? Yes, I do. And the prompt was space opera rock music with an intense tone. That was the prompt I put in for Music LM. But prompts take a long time to think about, and I only had like 2 minutes before this show started, so I wouldn't call it a groove. I would not go that far to say that, but thanks, Scott. Appreciate that. And everybody watching, welcome. This show is for you. You're going to hear Kat and I talk about some of the things we are seeing moving forward in AI and generative AI in education. Oh, wait a minute. We have the wizard himself. We have the wizard is here. There we go.
Oh, what people
Right
need.
here.
I made it back.
You made it
Yay.
back. You had to jump for a minute and you jump right on back in. You know
Right.
what? We haven't done an intro yet. We were waiting for you to do some intros. So let's go ahead and go around the horn. My name is Joe Marquez. I'm currently the Director of Academic Innovation for Q. Until AI replaces me, that's what I'm going to be doing. And then next on the screen, we have Catherine. Catherine, please go ahead and introduce yourself.
Thank you. And no, AI will not replace you, Joe. That's not going to happen. My name's Catherine Goyette. You can call me Kat, and I am the computer science coordinator at CDE.
Cool. And I guess that's me. So I'm Jeff. I work at the CDE also. I added my Twitter thing since Joe has his up there on it. I honestly do whatever other people need help with. So that's my thing, including helping Kat do what she needs. And yeah, I don't think we're going to be replaced, but maybe we will. We were talking about this for our thing. Like, where's the AI moderator that will AI moderate our conversation today? You know, that'd be great. Just throw us questions, Mr. AI. Come on.
You know, I think that would be an awesome tool, listening to our talk track, and then it just generates questions so that we don't have any silent air. But I think we have a pretty good group of individuals watching live right now. I see Scott, Roland, right here live in the chat. Remember, gentlemen, please feel free to ask questions at any time. I'm really interested in the state of education with AI on the horizon. And Catherine and Jeff, you know, working for the CDE and being able to see how AI is I'm going to use the word disrupting what educators would deem as their normal approach. What are you hearing out there in the realm of CDE of like recommendations of how teachers should roll this out with their students or test the waters with AI to change up their pedagogical approach to how they're crafting lessons and engaging their students?
That's a great question. So CDE actually did come out with some guidance for districts about AI, and really it's about making sure that we learn about the AI and we start to explore using it and such, keeping in mind that there are data privacy regulations for students. But, you know, AI is more than ChatGPT, right? AI has a whole lot. I mean, I just got a Tesla, right? That's arguably AI enabled, much of it. And even when we ask Siri or Google things, or we click like on our social media posts, all of a sudden that's going to direct us to things that are similar. And that's all based on pattern recognition and such. That's AI. So, yeah, we believe it's very important that our educators, that our leaders first just, consider student privacy, but regardless of how it is taught, it's got to be taught. We've got to teach our kids that this is in the world, that guess what? AI is not always accurate. Sometimes it hallucinates, right? So Jeff, did you have anything you wanted to add?
I can find the button, the unmute button. That's what I need, the AI that unmutes when I'm supposed to, instead of me having to click that. That would.
I'm sure that's in the works. I'm sure that's in the works.
Come on, that's what we need. That's what we need. No, I think Kat's right on. It's like, okay, yeah, understanding that we need to be aware of it and not pretend it's not here, and at the same time, seeing how AI can help close gaps instead of create bigger ones. I think that's the biggest challenge, and that's where it requires us to be thoughtful, because it's like, okay, well, let's start. Oh, that AI tool is scary and it doesn't do this or doesn't. Well, what tool can we get, and how do we have those conversations, and make sure that the gaps don't get bigger, because the world, it's endless out there. The possibilities are endless.
And I'm glad you brought that up about closing those gaps, because there are instances where depending on how different companies make decisions, it can actually increase the gap. And I want to hear if you've heard anything about this. And that is uh, tiered models for LMSs, right? Or ecosystems. Like we've seen it already. So Google's Workspace for Education, the base model is free, but there is an enterprise version where you get some extra features for teachers to utilize Google Classroom and such. I'm fine with having a tiered approach to maybe some tools teachers can use. But I am not fine with a tiered approach to the features that students can use. So is that a talk up at the state level of ensuring that these companies like Microsoft and Google, when they are offering their tools, they're not creating a tiered system where it's like, hey, if your school has enough funds, you can get the enterprise version of Google Workspace for Education, and your students can use all the AI tools that they want. But if you're using the free, they're not going to get all those. To me, that would create a gigantic, gorge but between the haves and the have-nots, instead of helping close that gap. What are your thoughts on that?
No, I think it's spot on. I think that's to add to the to-do list to continue those conversations and talk to folks about it, because we have to be the voice of all the districts at here. And it's not only just with us, it's with our other state counterparts at other states that are fighting in the same boat. We're not the only people in California that use Google and Microsoft and all those. So having those conversations, Kat's out there with other teachers, going to other people like her, talking about it with other states. And I think that's the best thing we can do.
Yeah, keeping that conversation open, and because you don't think about these tools as necessary features until they become necessary features. And that's one of the reasons that I'm on the same wavelength as you, Kat, where we have to make sure these tools are brought out of the shadows and into the forefront of education, and get the kids some hands-on training and tutorials on how to use them. Because as with the digital divide, where students may not have access to devices at home or internet at home, well, if they don't have access to those tools at home, the only place they're going to get experience with these new tools is in the classroom. And so if you're not allowing students to practice and utilize these tools, then they're going to be even farther behind from when they get to their next level of education or the job structure. And so I think that's important. But I think, Kat, you were alluding to at the very beginning, maybe even before we jumped on, it's student privacy. Student privacy is one of the things that is holding this back from being utilized more and more in the classroom. And that we have to remember, these tools were not invented with a K-12 mindset at the forefront. It was basically just unleashed on humanity and said, hey, you guys figure out how this is going to be utilized. So it's very important that we understand, when you are using these with your students, ensure that you're abiding by, is it available for 13 years or older or 18 years or older? And also, please, teachers, never put any identifiable student information into any of your prompts. Always use the student or a student, but never put those identifiables, because, again, student privacy, COPA, FERPA, they all come into play even when you want to play with these tools.
Yeah, that's a great point, Joe. And we do need to really be careful. Part of it is knowing how AI works, knowing that how is that data collected in that particular system? What are the terms of use? And even for educators, knowing what that is, even as a person who is signing up for apps and trying different things, I need to realize what's happening with my data. But the exciting thing is that there are companies that are seeing that this is a necessity for students to learn AI. And so there are LMSs, learning management systems, and other organizations that are building lessons and resources so that students can safely learn about these AI prompts and such. So it's coming, which is great. But yeah, I definitely want to take that privacy very seriously. And that personal identifiable information, hey, yes, definitely teachers, special ed teachers, use ChatGPT for your IEPs, but make sure you take out the names, right?
Yes,
Like,
please. I would be very interested to hear how maybe either of you professionally are utilizing these generative tools to make your workload easier or lives easier. Just because I have found in my position, I can spend hours crafting a graphic, or I can spend minutes typing a prompt and helping a graphic get prompted. So I want to show this again to any of our listeners. So this graphic right here for today's program is completely computer generated. Now the Q and the CDE, I did the, well, Q, that's already branded, that's already been in existence before these generative tools, and then I used that to create the CDE. But the robots and the text and the background and the feel, all of that is created through generative AI. In fact, the tool that I used to make those robots is a free tool, an image generator that also does text, called Ideogram. Fantastic. So I've been utilizing that to create graphics with text. I've also been using it with my daughters. Kat, you were talking about you're at your mother's house right now, right next to where my daughter goes to school. That Spirit wear is like $30 a piece just for a T-shirt. So what did we do? I had my daughters tell me what they would love to see in Spirit wear. We threw that through a prompt. It created a graphic, and now my daughters have their very own shirt from a T-shirt they helped AI create. It's just a great way to connect with my daughters that way, and somebody who's not as artistic as other people. It makes me feel proud that at least my words amounted to something in the graphic design area. But I'd love to hear how you both are utilizing this in your space.
well, Jeff, do you want to start with when we just started looking at AI guidance in general as we were constructing it?
Yeah, I'll back up a little bit. This last spring, I went to a conference, and of course, the big focus of it was AI. You didn't realize it, but it was like, okay, AI was, and you're like, I felt like it was 2010 again with this ed tech revolution. It's all about AI, and you're like, you have no idea where things are going to go. I mean, who knows what's going to be around by Christmas, New Year's, next, spring Q. I mean, it's just like there's so many things coming at us, and the thing that people were talking about was, and these are folks in the professional space, and I'm like, I kind of took it to heart, is they're like, spend an hour a week just playing with a new tool, exploring, learning, figuring out, learning, searching, reading about it. I happened to find some dumb stream on Instagram, and because of the AI that Instagram has, I see all the posts, and it's like, here's new AI, so it's like constant. I get that. And so, just do that. And I hesitate to say that because teachers already have a bazillion things they're up to here. So, you got to give something up to add something. So it's like, find something you can give up and add it to it if you can, because that's what we're doing. I mean, Kat and I it's, believe it or not, it's like crazy how our days are consumed. But yeah, it was funny. We were trying to come up with AI guidance or just AI something. And was that like June, May, June sometime?
Yeah, that's when we started looking at the U.S. Department of Education guidance to just see, what do they have? What do we like? What do we want to customize for California? And so Jeff had a great tool. The which one was it? The PDF?
Yes. Yeah, it was Chat PDF. We took the Department of Ed's AI guidance, put it in Chat PDF because it's a free one you can sign up for. And actually, by the way, that actually is a really good free if you're doing WASP reports and other things. Put it in there and then search for it, and you can find all sorts of stuff. And then we said, write us a thing. So we ended up with 2 pages as our statement, a 2-pager about AI, where we were just like, hey, what does this say about what should state education agencies or states consider? What should teachers consider? So we had AI create our AI guidance, and I'm not sure if that was like really like how comfortable do we really feel doing that, but we're like, kind of, is it StarNet really happening? But it was like, it's what we gave us our starting point. Now here's the thing, it was our starting point. We weren't done with it then. It gave us our thing, and then it kind of grew from there. So yeah, that was just one of the tools that we have, and there's other little things where it's like, oh, let's ask this, let's ask that. Our fall Q session was enhanced with a description was enhanced with AI. So we find those sort of things. We don't have I'm not in a place where I get to have it write cool lesson plans, but Kat's also doing cool stuff with AI, probably more cooler than that.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I use ChatGPT quite a bit. I kind of like it more than Bard right now, but there could be other. There's tons of tools out there. But I'm kind of having fun creating my own AI systems, like with Teachable Machine. Right. So, if you're all not aware, you can go to Teachable Machine. I think it might be teachablemachine.google.com. I can't remember. But anyway, you can put in pictures or dance moves or whatever to teach the machine how to categorize something. And so in doing that, it's kind of fun because it can help students to understand the way AI machines work, and that there's bias, and why does the computer think that this is one thing, but you think it's something different. And it also, I think, helps us to see what we do in our brains, our humanity, our context, our nuances that the AI can't do. And I think that's really important. So I've been kind of on that side of AI, to be honest, is kind of learning more about how it works and experimenting that way, which has been really fun. But yeah, it's pretty cool. There's some cool stuff like I guess Quizzes. I don't know if anyone's played with Quizzes, but their AI generated stuff is apparently pretty awesome right now. Like, you create your own chatbot, help you study for things. And so yeah, there's a lot of neat tools out there for sure.
Yeah, it's being embedded into everything. I think Canva this past Thursday just released their Magic Studio. Now, a lot of these have been in beta, and people who have Canva have been playing around with it, but they released a lot of different things. There's one on there that, you know the background remover. Remember those background removers that are constantly out there? Well, this one is an object remover. So it just detaches the main object from the image, and then you can move it around anywhere on the image and reposition it, shorten it, make it bigger, and then it fills in the background where that image was. And so you get to move. It's almost like a paper cutout that you can then move across the screen. And because the way Canva works with animations that you can create yourself, you can then make little puppet shows in the virtual realm with the students creating the digital AI and then the digital image. And then there's so many great possibilities for creativity, which is why I shudder when I hear people say, oh, this is going to remove creativity, or it's going to hinder creativity, or it's going to become a crutch. I think it actually will expand it. And I love what Jeff said about, when you were starting to write kind of those guidelines for AI, you used AI to give you a start. Right? How many times in the classroom do we see students struggling to even start? They're just sitting there racking their brain like, I don't even know what you're asking me to do. And these tools can be that co-pilot in learning, to be like, hey, here's a few ideas on how you can get started. Right? I think that's key. And when we can showcase to educators that these tools will not replace learning, they will not replace you, they will not replace your expertise, but they will amplify the learning that happens in your classroom, I think that's the magic spot. I think that's the ultimate, idea that we need to showcase to educators, how it helps them move the classroom along, not just replaces everything the classroom has done previously.
Well, you talk about creativity, Joe, and I was an elementary teacher, and there are not, sometimes it's tough to get kids to want to read. And they're at all these different, they're all at different reading levels, and they all have different interests. And sometimes if there's something they're interested in and it's a higher reading level, they will make the effort to improve their reading so they can read that higher level book of interest, right? Well, how do we find, I can't write a bunch of stuff as a teacher, as an elementary teacher, but guess what? ChatGPT can. So I can tell ChatGPT, this is the student's interest. These are the things that they like. Please write a story that whatever has these elements and maybe even has this particular theme, and it needs to be at such and such reading level. And then all of a sudden, we're personalizing our content to meet the interests of our students. And the brain science says if I can connect new learning to something I already know or I enjoy, it's going to be a deeper neural pathway. And so I'm going to remember it better. So creativity, I think there's an opportunity for it to explode, not to be diminished.
Yeah.
I used to be a CTE teacher, and all the video production, and everybody, they do all this multimedia, right? And someone was saying, the power with AI is you can take that idea and do your rough draft with it. And you're like, okay, I want to make a movie about this, and instead of actually going out and making the movie and go, well, that idea was really dumb. It wasn't a very good video, very good movie. It didn't really prove my point. You make it, you watch, you're like, okay, let's change it. Let's change it. Let's change it. It's kind of like helps you create the rough drafts of even movies and song and everything. And then you put it in real production. You have to do the final product as yourself. And so again, your point, get you to that starting point, get you that place. And the tools are there and they're on the phone and they're kids. I mean, it's like the phones are driving us crazy at times. Like, well, let's turn it into something to use so it doesn't drive us crazy. It's being something that can be used for. So we saw that too. I'm like, oh, that's actually true. I can't tell you how many projects you'd sit through and you're just like, okay, that was really good. And next time, let's try another one.
It's the idea of storyboarding, right? People don't think about multimedia rough drafts, getting, and these AI things, they'll throw things into an image or a creation that you maybe never have even thought about, and that sparks something else in you, and it takes you in another direction that you never thought you would go. I think that's absolutely key. And then another thing, how many times have we wanted to create graphics as whether teachers or professionals, and we know we're not graphic designers, so we go off and we look for clip art, and we cannot find the clip art that fits what we want, and we just go, oh, I can't do it, I can't figure it out. This gives us the opportunity to really kind of unload what we're thinking into these graphic image generators like Dolly 3, Midjourney, Ideogram, and really craft what we're looking for. And we can start creating almost our own little local clip art gallery that we can then disseminate between our colleagues. I think it saves tons of time in that fashion. There's so many things. And I know we're coming to our, the half-hour mark, but Kat, you were talking about how you were reading a paper that by 2025, LMSs will have their own AI integrated. And what does that mean? That means all that student data, all the things students are turning in, all the things that students are creating are being aggregated into these data sets to help differentiation, to help customization. I want you to imagine this. At the beginning of the year, okay, this sounds so futuristic, but I think it'll happen within 12 months. At the beginning of the year, the LMS that you're using, right, whether it's Schoology or Canvas or Google Classroom or Microsoft Teams, you send the students a link that talks about what do you like, what's your favorite book, what's your favorite sport, what's your favorite this, what's your favorite that, all these things, just all these questions. And it keeps that in its memory. And so when you push out a document, it automatically differentiates the document to meet the likes of every single student. The teacher doesn't have to do anything. It knows what to do. And still the core of the assignment, still the core of the information is exactly what they need to know. But instead of a skateboarder, it's an equestrian ride, right? Instead of a horse, it's a water buffalo. I don't know why I said that, but it will differentiate based upon those likes, and it'll make learning spark that learning, that interest, like you were saying, much easier. It's not so far away because it's all about aggregating the data and then creating a brand new differentiated document. That's personalized learning at hyperspeed. And I think by 2025 we're going to be seeing that as a feature in all of these tools.
I think you're right. I think we're close. I remember 10 years ago, my sixth graders, we used no red ink.
Yes.
And you could put the kids would put in what their interests were, who they wanted, for the nouns, who are the different people, what things do you like, what movies do you, cartoon characters, etc. They loved it. They were working on grammar. What kid likes grammar, right? No one. Only geeky writers like me. And so, yeah, they loved it. But it's because, they would laugh. They'd be working on their individual iPad, and then they just start laughing, right? And so then, but again, it's because you're connecting with their interests. I think you're right. I think that's going to come a lot sooner than people realize. When you read, the back end of what's happening in AI and the potential of like quantum computing, right? And all these, behind the scenes, stuff's moving crazy fast. And so I really do think that this is like going to be a huge revolution in the way we can educate our students.
Yeah, I'm just amazed that we're not even at the year point when GPT 3.5 was unleashed, and just seeing the progress of all these tools, the embedding of the capabilities, the creative power that I'm seeing out there. I am so enamored with what is yet to come. And that is why, the title of these shows at the moment is AI's in everything, everywhere, all at once, because that's the way it seems. And when we feel that way, we can feel overwhelmed, we can feel overpowered. And it's just like when you go to Baskin Robbins and you're told, hey, you have 5 minutes to pick your flavor. You're like, well, there's so many flavors to pick from. Your brain shuts down, and you just don't want to do it. But educators, we want you to really focus on the need to at least understand these tools. And whether you're not implementing them in class, that's your choice. But know that your students are implementing them in their projects and assignments, whether you know it or not. And so helping create guardrails and safety nets and proper procedures for use is absolutely key, not only for classrooms, but for districts and school sites. So in future episodes, these are the topics that we are going to cover. And what I think we're going to do, this show is going to air every second Tuesday of the month. All right. And so I think what we're going to do is we're going to create a question form. If there's any questions that you may have, burning questions about, how is the CDE taking on AI? How should we be using AI in the classroom? How should we be teaching prompt engineering? How should we be creating these guardrails? How should we be having students cite their use? If these are questions that you are looking to be answered, we want to be able to answer those for you. So in future episodes, when we do promote these, we will be also putting a link to a Q&A form, so we can definitely answer that. But also, as with Scott and Roland and everybody else who's watching this live right now, we'll take live questions to be able to answer them on the fly to meet your needs. But until then, thank you for joining us for our first collaborative episode. I want to thank the CDE with Jeff and Kat showcasing all the amazing work that they're doing. I want to say thank you to the Q organization, not only because I am their director of innovation, but because they are the organization that made me come out of my shell and made me not be fearful of technology. If that is something that you are looking forward to, is finding ways to come out of your shell, we do have Fall Q coming up. Jeff and Catherine are going to be there talking about AI and the CDE, as well as many other AI sessions, plus sessions on self-care and advancing pedagogical approaches, and many, many more. Just go to fallq.org to register today. And last but not least, Of course, Spring Q. Everybody wants to know about Spring Q. When is Spring Q? Can I register for Spring Q? When is Spring Q? You can register at springq.org. Surprise, surprise. And it will be happening March 21st through 23rd, 2024. Well, Kat, Jeff, thank you so much for being amazing co-hosts in this journey. Thanks, everybody, for watching. And before we leave, any parting words, Kat or Jeff, to our audience?
I'll go first because I unmuted faster. What I'd really like to know and see is, I'm so far removed from the classroom. It would be really amazing to have sessions where we hear from teachers and how they're using AI. I remember early on in the pandemic, we were just trying to find out how teachers were surviving. And some teachers at a small school were like, yeah, you know what? We're using Ring Central to form rings up so kids can do learning. And Ring Central is not an education app, let's be honest. And the teacher was like super stoked because he's like, yeah, they invited me into their ring to help them with their project. And then they dismissed me to leave while they finished it. It's like, I think that's the thing they see would be great is how people use an AI and how are kids learning and taking ownership. I would love to know and hear more about that. And thank you to everybody, like you said, of what they do, because that's where you guys are money in the classroom.
Yeah, I would second that, Jeff. It'd be great to get some teachers on here. We also want to make sure that we are providing the support, the conversations, grappling with questions that you may have that you're wanting to know. So I love that idea, Joe, of putting in that form. You can ask us for certain things. And then if there are people that we say, hey, I know someone who can speak to that. I know an educator that's doing exactly what you're asking about, or I know an IT director that can answer that question. I really, that the more input, the better. So, and I thank you. I mean, thank you, Q. Thank you to all of you that are watching this. Definitely connect with Q. We are, Jeff and I and our colleague, Christina Mattis, will all be at Fall Q and I believe Spring Q as well, right, Jeff?
Oh yeah, we'll be there. We'll be in the hallway at Spring Q. You can come by and say hi. But yeah, we'll be there Fall Q on Sunday. Will be our session talking about AI. So, and maybe we'll find an AI moderator that will moderate our panel. I don't know. Either that or it might be you, Joe. I don't know.
that works. The new app, the OpenAI ChatGPT app now has voice, and it does a very good job at answering questions. I was chatting with it today, and I'll tell you, I entered the uncanny valley because I was actually thinking I was talking to somebody. Like I knew I was talking to an AI, but there was part of me that was thinking it could have been a real person. So maybe that could be your moderator. That would be hilarious. But I can't wait. I can't wait to see you both in person. And if anybody in the audience is going as well, I cannot wait to see you at either Fall or Spring Q. And what do you say? Let's end this show with some of that amazing AI music that we created just for this episode. So until then, we'll catch you on the flip side, and be nice to the AI, because when they take over the world, you want to be on their good side. All right. Thanks, everybody.